Okay, and Mark is here. This is great because Mark's going to help me out today, I hope, even though I've never met the guy. He is from Michigan, and I'm going to tell you why I know that in a minute. So I'm hoping that by this point everybody's gone through the Audio Wizard setup. You are going to watch a presentation here about the 9x9x25 challenge. A little look at maybe some reflective practices and why being open helps us on a global level to work with one another. These next, yes I did. Everybody heard it. That's good. So there's help if you need it. Those of you that are on Twitter, we have the hashtag of GlobalEd13. There is a survey at the end of this, so you can fill that out. And there's some other things that, well, everybody's obviously on the Global Education Conference forum, except for some people who just saw this link from Twitter, which may be possible. And then we should thank our sponsors. I guess I'm supposed to say this. I like Adobe products. And all these other ones, I'm sure, are awesome too. We are using Blackboard Collaborate, so that's a good thing. Okay, so if you take in the toolbox to the left over here, that way I guess, there is a little star, and there is, it's the second tool down. And if you click on that tool, you get some options. You get an X and a happy face. If you just keep the star there, you can click somewhere out on the map to show us where you are. So it looks like we have Arizona, Texas, Florida, probably Michigan, Saudi Arabia, somebody said, way down there in Australia, way over there in, good grief, I don't even know where that is. Who's the check mark? Oh, there's the Saudi happy face, nice. Oh, and Hawaii, nice. Okay. Can anybody not hear me, or if I'm talking too loud, you can turn the volume down right below me. I have earphones in, so I can't hear a thing I'm saying. Okay, so we have people from all over, truly a global ed conference. That is awesome. Good work. I loaded my slides, and here we go. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what just happened here at my college over the last 9 weeks. I'm going to kind of look at a broad overview of it, and then we're going to take a look at some things that we learned and some things we're going to change for next year. And then we're going to wonder, should you do this? Can you do this? And then maybe kind of have a conversation about, if so, how? And that'll be like the last 15 minutes at least. I would encourage you, please, as I'm talking along here, if you have a question, you can type it into the chat. I will try and keep my eyes on the chat. But you can also, let's see, raise your hand, which is right under your name. If you raise your hand, it goes ding, and I'll be alerted. If you have a microphone, you can click the talk button, and you can ask your question, and I will try my best to answer it. So please, if you have questions as we're moving along here, let me know. But this is what we're going to do, and so I'm going to tell you. Hi, Tracy. So I work with the Teaching and E-Learning Support Group at a very small community college in the middle of Arizona in the United States. Like most colleges, we offer all kinds of trainings. We have hour-long workshops. We have summer and winter institutes that are multi-day events where we bring in outside speakers. Our faculty do presentations. My job as an instructional designer, I go to the faculty. That's probably the best thing I do, is I go find them in their offices and harass them a little bit sometimes. And we are pretty much, as far as I can see, a pretty normal unit in terms of helping teachers learn Blackboard or whatever LMS they use, how to use the lecterns that have overhead projectors, how to use YouTube or whatever lecture capture tools that you use. So we're a really normal group that way. And we do all the normal things that I see other people in my position doing at other institutions. About 9 weeks ago, we discovered a new idea that we thought about it over the summer, so this was several months ago, but we implemented it 9 weeks ago. And basically what we did was we challenged our faculty. We triple dog dare them, for those of you that know the movie Christmas Story. We dared them, and I'm going to use that word, we dared them to write 25 sentences each week about teaching and learning for 9 straight weeks. I'm going to share with you all the links to all this stuff here momentarily. They're also on the Global Ed page. But, you know, we set it up like, hey, can you do this? Do you think you can actually do this? And out of 300 faculty that we sent this email to, 17 of them responded. So, which was okay. It was 17 more than we had. And here's something that's interesting. And you can think of your own institution. 10 weeks ago at my college here, you could not find, and even if you were really good at searching the web, you would never be able to find any writing by our faculty about teaching and learning on the internet anywhere. And in fact, if you went and asked them where their writing was about teaching and learning, they might point to like a 3-ring binder on their shelf that had their teaching philosophy that they wrote 7 years ago when they were hired. But in general, it was very, very difficult to find writing from our faculty about teaching and learning. And miraculously, in 9 weeks, we have almost 150 pieces of writing by them that is available to anybody who can find it on the internet. So that was pretty amazing, but we really did dare them, and the way we wrote it up was pretty clever. We placed it right in the middle of the semester, so it wasn't, you know, 9 weeks is a long time in 15 weeks in a semester, so it took up a pretty good chunk, but we put it right in the center so it didn't get in the way of the classes starting up, and it didn't, you know, hamper the final frenzy of the last few weeks. And along with daring them, we said that if you complete this task each week, we're going to give you something. And we did. We gave them Ben & Jerry's ice cream the first week. We gave them certificates signed by the college president the second week. I made them chocolate chip cookies for one of the weeks. We had a thumb drive that was $10 that we gave them, each of them. And then we ordered some books about schooling, teaching and learning, the internet. And there were some shirts and water bottles and hats. So the deal was, and isn't this how life works, you know? Somebody dares you to do something and you get like this reward for accomplishing the task. So there's no money, there's no grades, but there is cookies or ice cream, and there is kind of this time, you know, it was like a class where you had to do this work each week. So that worked. Very weirdly, about 4 weeks into our little event, I got an email from Mark, who's with us today. He works up in Michigan, and he had done it too with his faculty, and it's going like gangbusters, and it's just amazing. He adapted it, and this is what I think we really need to pay attention to, is, you know, he took our 9x9x25 and adapted it to 4x4x16, which is what he felt his folks would do, and sure enough they are. So whether you're in a K-12 environment or a college, whether it's 2 weeks or 10 weeks or 50 sentences or 3 sentences, you know, part of what I'm going to show you here in a minute is just kind of the fundamental things I think that worked, and those things can be kind of wrapped around any amount of time or amount of stuff. So it was really exciting to see that some other school had picked this up, and since that time I have 2 K-12 elementary schools here in the area that are doing it, and I have northern Arizona up in Flagstaff here in the state of Arizona is also going to be doing it. So I think it's something that you know, anybody can pick up at any school, and it doesn't have. I'm not an administrator, you know. I am just an instructional designer, but this sort of thing could be done by a teacher or anybody at a school. Mark is an instructional technologist, so he's not he didn't do this from an administrative point of view. He did it kind of as his own challenge in a way. And I think that's part of what worked. So weirdly, and I had not planned this, but I discovered this as we started, October is Connected Educators Month. So that provided me with a great audience to kind of share what we were doing. And then November is National Novel Writing Month. So, and it's actually National Writing Month also. A lot of people just do writing. So it fit really well. I had kind of two nice little outlets for Twitter anyway, where I could, along with the EdChat hashtag, some places that I could share what our faculty were doing and saying. And that was unexpected. Had I done this in the spring, those would not have been the same kind of opportunities there. So I did use Twitter. Twitter is a great way to get things seen. Mark, I have no idea how you saw what we were doing. My guess is that it was Twitter, but I don't know that for sure. So we definitely had some people, not only in my little network, but what does a retweet do for you? It gets you even into a broader audience. So we do have a place that houses our content for our faculty, all of our tutorials, some of our tutorials, and a lot of, we use it as a blog, so each week or so we add something useful, some article, but essentially it's where our faculty go to stay current, I guess. But as you can see here, during the 9 weeks that we ran this thing, the hits on our website increased dramatically. So for me, as the guy who is trying to get our faculty to read about teaching and learning, trying to get them exposed to something new and interesting, or useful, I shouldn't say new and interesting, something useful, this did a good thing. It got a lot more of our faculty to visit our site. Some of them had never even been there, and that was really helpful. So that was a good thing. And now I'm just, I don't know this for sure, but I tried to kind of wonder and have been wondering here, what was it about this whole thing that worked? Why did this go over so well for the 17 who have participated, and really for the college at large, because it really has sparked some conversations that maybe would not have taken place without some of this writing happening, kind of a more intense level. So I tried to ponder, what is it about all this stuff that was working? And so one of them is just like the simple concept of a challenge, right? Don't we all want to be challenged, and don't we all want to step up to a challenge, especially if you're invited to a challenge by like a friend or your spouse or somebody, or relative? I know the teachers that I work with pretty well, and when I kind of said, oh, there's no way you could write that much, I didn't say that, but I challenge you to do this. There's a lot of power in that, just the act of that challenge. People want to step up to it. So in that sense, and this, again, that's why I tried to pick things that were institution kind of, it doesn't matter what kind of institution you're at, whether it's higher education or elementary ed or whatever, and it doesn't matter how much, but a challenge is a challenge. And so I think that was, or is, one of the really important aspects of why it was successful, because we really did play it as a challenge, or I dare you to do this. So the next thing I thought was really useful, and it really got them after the first week. Those of you who are familiar with Ben & Jerry's ice cream, it's really good. And when we challenged them, I mean, I put a picture, I'm pretty sure, in the email. So when they saw that I was challenging them to write these sentences, they saw the Ben & Jerry's and they went, oh, I can write 25 sentences. I'm going to get Ben & Jerry's. And I did. And I fulfilled my promise. The Monday after they were supposed to have written all this, I walked right into their offices with a plastic spoon and a pint of Ben & Jerry's and said, thank you very much. And that worked, and they really were, you know, appreciative of what, you know, I gave them a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream for them writing. So that worked. And I think there's some reasons why the appreciation can work. And I've thought a lot about, you know, in my own case, how am I appreciated here at the college besides my paycheck? When was the last time that I felt like I had been, you know, my colleagues really appreciated me? We got some award. Our group got an award a couple of years ago, and that really felt good. We do an e-learning award here once a year. Our group picks an e-learning person. But if you guys want, any of you have any comments, you can write on this slide. I tried to make this kind of interactive. If you click on the A in the toolbar there, you know, when was the last time that other than a paycheck, that you felt like you were appreciated by your colleagues? You know, and this is something, and this will be interesting because I don't know how many people are in this room. But the more I thought about this slide and asking this question, a lot of the conversations that I had with our faculty here about why this worked, we talked about being appreciated. And Ben & Jerry's, of course, is one way to be appreciated. Teachers typically are appreciated by their students. The students will tell them, "Oh, you did a great job. I thank you very much for helping me get through this class," or whatever it is. But what about deans or administrators or principals? I have a feeling that we don't get faculty, in my estimation, don't get appreciated enough. So either everybody is very shy because nobody's typed in the chat, and I see that people are still here. Am I doing such a great job that nobody has any questions or nobody's typing in the chat? And certainly nobody's feeling appreciated. So we're going to move on to the next slide. That's not true. I know you all have been appreciated in some way or another. But
do you want to take questions now? Because there have been a few, but I thought we'd leave it to the end.
Okay, absolutely.
I think.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, you know what? I'm sorry, my chat there was stuck up above and I didn't notice that. So I see there are a couple. Okay.
I think Tracy had a question and Ing also asked a question. Tracy wanted to know what the Twitter was, and Ing asked, let me just get that to, yeah, any suggestions for appreciation for online instructors? I have instructors all over the country.
Yeah, we do a, I'm sorry, I totally missed these questions. How lame is that? I need to keep this thing down so I see these. Okay, so, yeah, we do an e-learning award, and we also try to do a featured faculty so that each month, and it's really nice when you can show what the teachers are doing. So it's not, you're not just telling people what they do, but you can actually show people what they do. So we try, when we feature a faculty, we try and show some of the things that they do in their online classes. But we also give out an e-learning award every year. So it's one of our folks that does some really exceptional work. So that, yeah, I mean, those two work. And yeah, having somebody tell you that they appreciate is a good thing. Okay, I'm going to go on. Sorry about that. I couldn't see the chat. Darn. Okay, so one thing that I learned was that anything works. Any token of appreciation can work. Yeah, you know, Yeah, send them something. It can just be a little thing. I baked cookies and they loved them, and I'm not kidding. They thought it was great, which is a good thing. We talked about how money, had we set this up with like, okay, if you write 25 sentences a week, we're going to pay you $50 at the end of the week, or $50 at the end of the whole thing. Everybody pretty much agrees that there was never enough. They couldn't have offered them enough money to do this because they spent a ton of time doing it. And there's actually research that shows something about how money very often just gets in the way of people who are trying to do things because they enjoy it. So the other part for me is that, you know, I really try with our faculty here to not be the guy who sits in his office and clicks buttons and makes PDFs for the faculty. I really try hard to go to where they are, which is not in my office. It's in their offices, or have lunch or whatever, but get out of here and meet these people that are really amazing folks. I mean, I live in a small town, so I know a lot of them. Many of them I've worked with for 10 years or more. But we really do have a very healthy, positive, sincere relationship, and I think that has helped as well. So I talked about it being kind of in between the semester, and that was certainly a good thing. You know, time, if you work with faculty and you say, what's the thing that prevents you from learning something new, they'll always say time. So we put it in a very specific time frame, and this was, again, the first time we'd ever done it. But it did work. It was, you know, being right there in the middle of the semester was super important. And what was really fascinating was after the very first week, we went from having no writing to 17 posts of 25 sentences or more. So at the end of that very first week, the teachers that participated could look down and scroll through all of this writing, and it was amazing. I mean, just that much writing with a few pictures and some videos in there, they clearly went, wow, you know, if we keep doing this for 8 more weeks, there's going to be a ton of stuff there. And there was. So very much like any class, you know, we kept it, you know, by Sunday you have to turn in your work. Monday morning I'm going to bring you cookies or whatever the case may be. And we really had guessed, you know, the 9x9x25, those numbers kind of didn't have a lot to do with anything at the beginning, but I think we did a good job of guessing what was right. So one thing that many of our teachers struggle with, at least in the online digital environment, is many of them have stuff online, but almost all of it's like in our LMS, in Blackboard. And imagine what we created being housed inside of an LMS. All of this writing, all contained in an LMS where you had to be a you know, approved user to get into it. One of the things that we gave them was a platform on the internet where they could do some things. So it's, you know, some of our faculty are moving ahead, and they definitely have been in the world of blogs before, so they understand kind of some of the possibilities that exist there. Another thing that, for those of you that are familiar with working in the online space, it gives them a sense of, this is mine. All this writing is mine. I'm responsible for it. It's shared with everybody, but I can change the color. I can put in these pictures. I can organize it the way I want. So they have a pretty good sense of ownership. And it also, all of those spaces are great for references when you have conversations. I know that here we have a lot of more conversations about things that were kind of new and innovative than we typically do. So I think that part of having stuff open on the web where it's accessible to anybody is it allows you to keep those conversations, reference what was going on at a later date. And I know that that happens as well. So everybody loves a little recognition, and certainly our folks, part of Mark's thing in Michigan, we tried to kind of interact this year, and I'll speak more to that in a minute, but everybody enjoys being recognized by their peers. I think I'm going to skip this slide and go on to what we did. Peer pressure does work. So when you put yourself out there as a writer, you start to write better if you know your colleagues are looking at it. There's an element of being out there, and this is probably the part that fits most closely with this global conference, is that, it is out there in the community, and it's outward facing, which is kind of not what we usually do. And it did build a sense of community. I have a couple quotes at the end here from faculty who definitely seem to believe that it helped build our community. But more on outward facing, this is probably what interests me the most about the web these days, is that our traditional model of most everything, whether it's professional development or classrooms, tends to be focused inward. Everything is contained in an LMS, or everything is in a classroom. And I think that by facing outward, by putting it on the open web, whether it's our professional development or classroom work, we can share it with a broader audience. And by sharing that, and especially in a platform that allows for conversations like a blog, we get other people to participate, and we can learn from them, even though we're the ones who initiated whatever the conversation was. So that, to me, was really what I've been trying to do with teachers for a while, is get them to take their classes and turn them outward a little bit more. So by the end of this thing, they were all pretty happy, and we just ended. And I can't tell you, you can go look at all the reflections. They were all super, super happy. I'll give you that URL in a minute. So here's 3 quotes. One is from an adjunct here that, for those of you that work at colleges, at the colleges or universities, adjuncts are in a difficult spot often. They don't see a lot of the faculty very often. They don't get to participate as often in professional development opportunities. So for us, in this case, we got to put, our faculty with they're all our teachers, right? So they were all together, and they were all on a level playing field, and that was really nice. And I think that as adjuncts, they felt more like they were a part of a team, even though they never saw one another. So I think, too, that very often, because we're so busy, ask any teacher, they have no time. Part of what really worked was that it made teachers think about teaching. Very often they go to college, they learn how to be a teacher, or in some cases they go to college to become a physicist, and then they teach physics. This gave people the opportunity, or faculty the opportunity to go back and kind of wonder a little bit about teaching and learning and what works. I think that one of the things that happened for all of these people is that they, for the first time in a long time, were asked to do writing again. I know that many of our faculty take classes at colleges, so they do writing, but not a lot of them. Not a lot of them. And for them to kind of get back into the habit of writing, I taught English for 10 years at a high school, so I have a lot of, I believe that writing is good, and that you can reflect on things that you've done, and you can learn how to write reflectively. But I think it's a powerful tool for learning without ever going anywhere. You can sit right on a piece of paper and do it right in front of yourself. So So that also helped them all write. So what are we going to do for next year? Here's the plan at this point, and these are all still being formed. I'll put the link to the site, and you can see it as it is now. You can also put the link to Mark DeLong's Northwestern Michigan College site. And on our site, all the posts show in their entirety on the page, so you have to scroll forever, which is not really a good web site design. So Mark has all his excerpted so that it says read more under each post. A colleague of mine who lives nearby, Alan Levine, he says that he knows a way that when you click the read more button, it will expand just that post so that it shows in its entirety. And then when you're done with it, you can click the read more and it'll shorten it again. So we're looking at some options like that. Just the physical structure of the site itself. I'm really excited about this. For those of you that have ever run in a race, like a 5K or 10K, probably marathons and swimming races probably have them as well. But next year, all the participants are going to get a race bag for the challenge. And we're going to put like a T-shirt with the logo on there. You know how teachers are. They all said this is too much work, and so we're going to make them a little card that they can have to get out or to maybe be late doing one of the posts. We're going to make a flyer on their door that shows that a really nice one laminated, so that it shows that they're participating. And then I'm really excited about making a bunch of sticky notes that have like my next blog post will be about, because a lot of people had said, I have these great ideas all the time, but I can never remember them. So I thought if they had some sticky notes that kind of prompted them to write that down, that would be a good thing. So yeah, we're going to give them all a little race bag at the beginning of next year. For those of you that are familiar with Faculty Focus, it's facultyfocus.com. They put out every day a post about something related to teaching. So over the last few years, I've had a couple things printed by them, and it occurred to me one day that they might be somebody who had some stuff to give to our faculty, like T-shirts or hats or something. So I called them, and sure enough, they sent me some stuff to give to our faculty on at the end of one of the weeks. Well, it took about 10 seconds or 10 minutes for me to realize that next year, what if our faculty not only wrote for our 9x9x25 challenge, but what if they also were encouraged to submit their writing to an even larger audience, like Faculty Focus? And that's a brilliant idea. And sure, so what I discovered was that next year what I'd like to do is have some mutually beneficial relationships set up with our faculty and people out there like Faculty Focus that do professional development. So what I got, and this is super exciting because I only just now, here it is, this is very exciting, here's the draft. The League for Innovation at the Community College, which we're a community college, so they do professional development stuff and they do spotlights, and they have a venue for faculty writing. Additionally, the Instructional Technology Council focuses mostly like on online stuff, but they also have a newsletter that they do. So along with Faculty Focus, what we're going to do next year is those folks are going to send us some small things, and I do mean just little teeny things, and our faculty during those weeks are going to be encouraged, not demanded, but encouraged to submit their writing to that venue, because they're amazing and they do great work. So that was a huge leap for next year. So I have about 5 more minutes, I suppose, until the question and answer part. But I guess what I've kind of learned, and maybe Mark could speak to this because he did it. And I mean, honestly, I have no clue. Like, you know, he picked it up and just totally ran with it. And one of the K-12 schools here locally, they're right now, they're looking for one vendor to provide them with a bunch of little things that they can give to their faculty for each of the weeks that they do work. So instead of me baking cookies or you know, faculty focus sending us some hats or whatever, they're kind of just trying to find a provider that's willing to set them up with a few flash drives and a few, you know, pencils or something. I don't even know what they are, but you know, it's a really adaptable idea, and it's based kind of on the challenge and, you know, on a specific amount of time and really appreciating people in an honest way. And I think that you know, you really can do this too. I'm going to put in the chat right now the links to our web letter, which is where there's 140 posts in there. The ones you're going to see right now are all the reflections, because we literally just ended this on Sunday, yesterday. So that the reflections are there, and then on earlier pages are all their other writings. What I sent to the faculty is the second link there, which is just, that's what, it was an email. I sent it to all of our faculty. And then Mark's College in Michigan is that third link, and it takes you to their teaching and learning site. So you can see what they were doing. But I really do think that you can, you know, you can definitely make this happen too. It's a very doable thing, and I'm really excited about next year, and so are a lot of our faculty, and that's really exciting that they're excited to get going. So that's what I did, or that's what we did, and there are the links, so you can go see it all. Any questions? Everybody's probably busy looking at the web. There's only 140 some odd posts. So, yeah, you start reading. That was something that a lot of people said. It was just overwhelming. You know, it's an overwhelming amount of stuff. Absolutely. Yeah, we're all kids, right? We all like to be challenged, and you're absolutely right. There's no difference at all between kids and adults. I taught middle school long enough, and for 7 years I've worked with only teachers. Same idea. Yeah, you're welcome. It's a simple thing to implement, and I think any teacher could do it. See, Tracy's asking a question here. We use interface inflection. No, because so Tracy, or excuse me, Leslie asked if, you know, the only thing that we require or have required here from faculty is if they go to a conference, they have to do like a 5-minute or less presentation at a division meeting, and apparently a lot of those actually never happen. Our teachers, when they're hired for 3 years, are put on probation right away, and at the end of the 3 years, they have to write a, theoretically they do it at the end of each year, but I know some have just done all 3 at the end of the 3rd year. They have to write like a self-reflection on each of the first 3 years. All of those are totally inward-facing, and the only person who ever sees them is their dean. So we don't have any faculty development currently that is outward or inward-facing. So no, I don't have enough. I would say that if you look at the posts over the 9 weeks, not only did they get longer, but they got better. And they did get, you know, to me, reflective writing is a lot of questioning you know, so you're writing, but you're asking questions in your writing. In opposition to that, non-reflective writing oftentimes is more like, you know, this is how I use this tool in this class. So I don't have or I don't know how to find any differences, but I do think that as a result of it being out in the open, their writing got better, more thoughtful, more descriptive. And I think many of them, and good for them, got over, teachers will say, I don't have any time, and they'll also say, I don't have anything unique to share. They all have something unique to share. They all do something that's amazing. The trick is getting them to share it outside of kind of the normal hallway conversation. And this gave them a venue to do that. Let's see. Let's see. I wonder about this becoming a hybrid version of Flat Stanley. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, Tracy, you must be then from Michigan as well, probably. Yeah. You know, it just here's the deal anymore. So there you are sitting in your meeting with all the smartest people at the college, and everybody has one of these. The smartest person in the room is no longer in the room, right? I mean, they're out there somewhere else. You know, there's a better idea out there, and isn't that the point of this whole conference? Is that there are amazing people out there. The trick is to have the time, willingness, and courage to go out there and connect with them, and be willing to discover a new idea and learn it. And you know, that's what the internet's good at doing. It's good at connecting people, whether it's through Skype or through a blog or through a conference like this. So, yeah. Great ideas are lost in hallways. I totally agree. Okay, I'm opening the Flat Stanley. I open the Flat Stanley. I'll look at it. And we are. Yep, we're all lifelong learners. Totally agree. Well, we're too busy sometimes to be lifelong learners, right? And so part of the culture that I hope really changes is that in some way, shape, or form, we allow our educators to feel as though they have more time to explore and aren't so hurried, you know, doing the job all the time. But that's a big challenge, the way things are set up. Any other questions? Mark, do you have audio? You want to say anything about what's going on up there? Maisie, can we give Mark audio there? See if I can find him here. Mark, I think I gave you audio. You press your.
Can you hear me?
Want, Mark, I think you have audio capability.
All right. Well, thank you, Todd, for all the free publicity for NMC here. It's nice. I don't want to hijack your presentation here, but yeah, we're wrapping up our project too. As you said, it's just a 4-weeker, but we felt like you did that it was important to be finished up by Thanksgiving to not get into the end of the semester and all the end of semester grading. But it's funny, you know, the instructors get so wrapped up in it and get this feeling of that they've committed to something that I've had a couple instructors apologize for getting things in late and those types of things. So it's been a real good project, real fun to follow through here.
Nice. Well, so for next year, one of our thoughts is that for one of the weeks, instead of our blog, our posts going into our web letter, we're pondering maybe exporting them to another college's blog, like our teacher's content would show up on Mark's college's stuff, and his teacher's stuff would show up on ours, or both. You know, I think that there's that idea of collaboration is got a bazillion possibilities for this.
And I know Todd started sharing some of our posts with his faculty members there, and many of the faculty members there in Arizona started making comments on our blog here, and that really motivated people to see that not only their colleagues but people outside of the area were reading their posts. Really sparked some interest and really perked up ears whenever I would mention that in any meeting. So people were very impressed by that.
Yeah, I think that we talk about that in higher ed a lot, right? I mean, we talk about this idea of the internet allowing for us to collaborate on a larger scale, but we don't often model that. And as Maisie said there, those best teachers are, they're learning too, and they're visibly learning to students. And how do you do that as a faculty? Well, one way is to show that you are exploring or learning stuff. Yeah, I think it's a good point, and I hope next year we will do some kind of a collaborative week in there, if not for the whole period of time, however long it ends up being.
We're counting on it.
Cool. Yeah, good. Yeah, so the word blog, it's pretty funny. Saturday morning I gave a presentation about the cloud to the Verde Valley Computer Club here, which I didn't really know what I was walking into, but it was a group of probably about 30 people who were, I think almost all of them were over 65. And that's not a bad thing. That's what the makeup of the group was. But you mentioned things like the word Twitter or blog or Facebook or some of these social media sites, and people really react negatively. And I think in academia, with teachers in particular, when you say the word blog to them, most of them think Twitter. Most of them think kind of not peer-vetted, peer-reviewed content, and they think that it's kind of less than amazing. So I was really careful not to use the word blog in anything I sent out to faculty. I said, we're going to write on the internet. We're just going to put words on the internet where people can get them. That's the deal. And I don't know, that seems to ease some anxiety, I think. Guys have any other questions? Here's those links again. Some amazing stuff out there. It's pretty exciting. No further questions? Mark, thanks for being here. That's pretty cool. I've never met Mark before. We've exchanged some emails, but it's pretty cool that you showed up. Thanks, and thanks for going along with all this. It's great.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, of course. I gotta get better at inviting people, right? That's what we need to do. We need to invite more people. Okay, so there's at the end of this is a certificate that you can get. You can also fill out a survey. I hope the whole week goes great for you. That was really fun. And like I said, you don't have to be an administrator to do this. This worked amazingly, and I had zero institutional support. So you could be anybody and make this happen. It's about the challenge and stuff. So thank you very much. I'm going to sign out here, I think, pretty quick, unless my good moderator has any other helpful advice for me. But thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much, Todd. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay.